They should just use Hummers to smash the trees down. Why spend all the money on those big excavators? Just take a Hummer EV and just crash through it.
Yep, and then go just wreck. Yep, it's a full circle.
Leave it to Hummer
to kill the rainforest somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Hummers have to do that.
Yes. You know, us here at Daily Motor, we will spare any expense to save $1 or $2.
Oh, trust me, I know. Mm-hmm. Is that going to change after the wedding at all?
Probably not. I think it's just within my nature.
Okay.
Peggy was purchased way before Alyssa was in the picture.
That's
she was
a fair point.
$750, which I may have told you before, but I negotiated that. The van was listed for $1,000.
I know.
And I negotiated her down, and I said, would you take $750? And she just said yes.
So you should have gone $500.
I should have gone $500.
Yeah.
But even then, I felt bad. Because this old grandma was selling this minivan because she had gotten a DUI and could no longer drive. And it had issues, but they were all very easily remedied issues, such as the blower motor wasn't working in the front. Well, it's very clear that... God damn it, I keep forgetting to switch this back to our cameras.
Oh, so what's that been on the whole time?
Just that other screen.
This one?
No, this one. So they really appreciate that. The viewers like to be able to see the the microphone levels.
Yeah.
But it had the blower motors weren't working, but a very quick Google search just shows that it's probably a resistor. And it's literally a matter of like just undoing the center, it's not even infotainment, center HVAC stack, and swapping out a little resistor behind it for like $20 at O'Reilly, and sure enough, they all worked. And the van needed a few fuses, obviously no big deal, that's pocketable from Fox Auto. And it needed a new rear hatch, which again was...
Was that pocketable from Fox Auto?
Essentially.
Yeah.
It was about $65 and 5 bolts. And then just... and yeah, and it was an excellently working van.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a rusty hatch, but that's okay.
Yeah, because I think it sat on the ground. Yeah, I think it did sit at Fox Auto for a little while or something, like on the ground. Someone had already removed it or something like that. So it had gotten ground condensation.
Gotcha.
Which is not usually good for rusty boys.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and the wheels actually used to look better on that van, but I swapped them out for shittier wheels and sold my nice wheels. Because money.
It's just the most Charlie thing. That van just embodies you like so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking once it finally kicks the bucket, I should just try to find the most pristine 2007 Chrysler Town and Country Limited from like Naples and bring it up here. It'll have like 40,000 miles, 100% rust free. Just a beautiful example.
Yeah.
And that should be like
you should actually
keep
do
it
that.
forever car.
Yes, you should actually do that.
I'll show you the color I want to get too.
Oh, you've already got this very planned out. I love that.
Well, because black is the best for
spray painting.
For spray painting. So you want to have your beaters in black.
Yeah.
And also rust. You know, if you get a white car and it gets rusty, then it sort of like leaks down. The rust does, and it looks awful. But if you get a black car, then you can just spray paint the rust. But what I want to get is 7 Town and Country Orange. They make that color in 2007. Let me see. Yes, this one.
That one's crashed.
Well, right, but that's a good look of the color.
That is a beautiful specimen right there.
This is pretty much what I'd be getting. Right?
Yeah,
oh, look,
it
was on Copart. Probably. Yeah, it's lot sold, but...
very rusty that one is.
This is a limited. Or not a limited, sorry. This is a touring, I can tell.
Are you going to downgrade from your Walter P. Chrysler signature?
This was a Walter P. Chrysler as well. I should have saved this from salvage.
I'm sure it no longer exists.
Yeah, this was sold back in September of last year.
Oh, yeah, it's probably been crushed by now.
Right.
Some scrapyard probably bought it.
See, this is too brown. I don't want that. But again, Florida.
I saw a very clean one. In fact, I sent you a photo. Last time I was in Florida, there was a mint example, and it was pulling a trailer. I sent you a photo of it.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very Florida.
It was like Charlie's special favorite car is right here.
I will never get gold, no matter how good the deal. Also won't get a next gen.
What about one that used to be a taxi, like that one?
100% no. That one looks very sad. Why are all these salvaged?
What?
Why can't you just have a nice... Here we go. For sale in the Philippines. That's good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, let's go over there and drive it back.
Yeah. Either way, that's the color I want to get. Nice orange.
That's going to be like your weekend car?
Yeah. 100%. fold the seats flat, go camping in it.
Oh,
Let's take a quick peek on Auto Trader. Everyone has now turned off the podcast.
You haven't even told what episode this is.
Welcome everyone. Daily Motor Podcast, episode 24. No, 23. No, 24. It's definitely 24 because we had the Taylor Swift episode, then the Miley Cyrus episode.
This is
who has a song that's
24
called 24. Someone probably does. It's all Google again. 24 song. Money Man 24 featuring Lil Baby.
Okay, so this is the Money Man episode.
Yes. Money Man.
Yeah.
10 songs about being 24. Wow. All right. We'll have to turn that on. We can't listen to it here though because we'll get copyrighted up.
We'll listen to it later.
Yes. Everyone, that's your homework this week is to listen to 24 by Money Man. I can't ensure it'll be good. No gluten today. Just a good.
No gluten. Just radio static.
Yep. We're gonna go any mileage. Maximum year 2007. I would settle for a 2006.
What's the difference?
Nothing. 2007 was just the last model year of that gen. Really, I'd settle for 2005.
Why is that $7,000? I'm disturbed by that.
Because Speedy Auto Sales, they have some quality.
Why isn't that like $600?
Trim.
Walter P. Chrysler signature.
Nope. Needs to be higher than that. Needs to be a limited. Oh, they made a limited platinum too, apparently.
Platinum.
Okay, and then we want it to be orange color.
You probably have to click red also just to.
Yeah, good call.
Or brown. There's no option for orange, is there?
Orange. Red. Results.
None.
Wait, but it says. Oh, is this? Shoot.
There's
0 results.
There are
All right,
none.
well, let's eliminate the red and the orange for now.
Can you filter it by
10 results.
That one's red.
Oh, it's quite red. Only 87,000 miles. Let's
$9,000.
sort it by mileage lowest. Here's a 54, but it's silver. Nope, don't want silver. And those get
26,000 miles.
There we go. I might
$25,000. Holy crap!
Maybe this is an old listing that hasn't been taken down or something.
No.
Look at that.
Consider
beauty.
the current market.
You got your chrome wheels.
It's got the side skirts.
So you can tell this is a limited because of these little dimples along the side here. Seriously. Only limited's got those.
Is that a handicapped van? Because it sits a little higher.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Could explain the low miles.
Yes.
Yep, it is.
Darn it, we're not going handicap. Nothing against handicap people. I just don't want your vans in my driveway. How about this red one? This one's looking nice. An 07.
It's only $9,000 also.
Yeah. Limited. Cognac crystal pearl coat. 4-speed automatic transmission. $87,000.
It's not showing up on here.
Yeah, I know, but it shows up in here. You can see it. Yeah, very
That
nice
is
looking.
A clean unit right there.
Everything's all
Just
shiny.
think you could have Stu ceramic coat it for you and stuff.
Look at that. Mean. Headlights are clean.
See the interior.
Probably
I think it's tan.
Oh,
it's
like a
black.
grayish black. Look at that. Automatic climate control. Navigation
Was
system.
this the pinnacle of its day?
Yes.
Okay.
This was top diggity dog. Look at those gauges. Nice and shiny. Only 5 digits on the odometer.
What state is this in? Chicago.
Yeah, it's surprising.
I bet it's rusted out underneath.
Free zone climate control. Got your windshield washer controls up there. That's different for the limited model. Not a big fan of the gray, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, that's
I'd rather
hideous.
have tan.
I like your seats better.
Right. Got the Chrysler emblem embossed into the headrest, so that's a nice touch.
Embossed.
Yep.
Tan headliner. Wow.
That's a nice unit. You got both keys. It's nice, but
good tires.
Considering it's 10 times, more than 10 times more than I paid for mine.
And is it really 10 times the car? I don't think so.
Not 10 times fewer miles, that's for sure.
Well, how many miles are on yours?
253,000. Let's pop in a 2005 and see if there's any lower mileage ones. Nope, that's still low dog. Chicago Auto Capital, 240 miles away. 5-star review for the dealer.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Why would you then pay more for one with more miles on it?
Location, I suppose. I'd like a blue, but I'm not paying $2,000 for 230. Actually, this is not a bad deal if it runs well. It's probably clappy inside though.
Where is it?
That's
1,900 miles away. It's got to be on the West Coast somewhere.
Yeah. Also, it says as is, so that's never a good sign. Could you please turn the air conditioning?
Yes, I will do
Thank you.
that.
I forgot to do that before we got into episode 24 of the Daily Motor Podcast. A little bit of a tangent there, discussing our Chrysler Town and Country fantasies, and by our, strictly mean mine.
Yours.
Yeah.
Your Chrysler Town and Country fantasies. Because if I were to have a van, I would have a Honda Odyssey.
Would you?
Yes. VTEC van.
That is a
Why
good
don't
point.
we do a cheap car challenge with minivans? It'd be your favorite thing ever.
We might have to do that.
We should
You're
do
right.
that. But you can't use Peggy. You have to get a different one.
I have to purchase.
Yeah, because you know Peggy too well. It wouldn't be any fun.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair. I wonder if anyone would show up in a Freestar.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd either get an Odyssey or a Sienna, but I would probably go Odyssey. Or maybe I would try to find one of those old Mazda vans that's like boxy.
The MPV.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if we would allow that because it's so
There
much
are
smaller.
so many options. You've got the Pontiac Montana,
Mhm.
Chevy Venture,
Mhm.
Ford Windstar, Freestar.
And the Mercury version.
No, that was a Nissan.
The Mercury wasn't just the
Uh-huh.
Freestar?
No.
Oh, that's strange.
No, the Mercury Villager was
Yeah.
a Nissan Quest.
Oh, you're right.
But then later on, when they switched it to the Freestar, then the Mercury Monterey
Okay,
was a Freestar.
fair enough. And then you've also got the Hyundai Entourage,
Oh
which they
yes,
only made for a few
the
years.
Kia
The Kia
Sedona.
Sedona. Yep.
There were so many minivans
Man,
back
yeah,
in
that's
like
a hot segment.
you could
It's
also
the best
go-
kind of car.
it really is. You could also go Dustbuster and get a really old Pontiac.
Lumina?
No.
Or no, sorry, Chevy Lumina I was thinking, but
Flies back.
yeah, it
And
is.
that's still making noise up there.
Yeah, yeah, this whole
Pontiac
fucking podcast studio is falling apart.
Transport.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Pontiac was the first to embrace LGBTQIA plus lifestyle with the transport.
With the transport. Sport.
Sporty trans.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you could have one of those. What else did you have from the Japanese? You had the Mazda, Toyota. Oh, you could have a Previa with the mid-engine.
Yeah, if you went back far enough, you
They're
could get a Previa.
literally, and also nobody
get a
wants
Hi-Ace.
minivans. No one wants old minivans, so they're all dirt cheap. Even in this market, they're pretty dang cheap still.
I'm just looking forward to. Oh, you also didn't say the Dodge Grand Caravan, by the way. But I'm looking forward to the part of the challenge where we have to put large things in the back, and you have to heave out your second row seats, whereas I can simply
Stow and go.
stow them and then go.
Well, I'm looking forward to when one of us gets a puncture and you have to lower your spare tire from the middle of the van.
All of our spare tires will be entirely flat and rusted to the car anyway, regardless.
No,
of-
I'm going to import my Odyssey from California.
Are you?
Yeah.
You know, that'll be part of your budget, you know. So if you want to
Oh,
save on the
yeah.
budget, you have to fly out and get it yourself.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plane tickets and fuel are exempt, but shipping costs would be part of your budget.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. What would be the budget? Like $2,500?
I think 2,500. would
You
be
could
safe.
get a nice town and country for $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely could.
Is that what you would go for? Or would you go for a Dodge just to switch it up a little
Yeah, maybe I would do the Dodge.
and just have cloth seats and a worse experience?
Yeah, well, you know, it was interesting. I think you could get the top level Dodge, and it was still fairly similarly equipped
Oh,
to
really?
the top level.
Gotcha.
Yeah, town and
Chrome
country.
wheels and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be one to look forward to. We could do like a Top Gear style where the quote unquote Stig, which obviously we wouldn't have a Stig, but like the pace car, if you will, is an SUV that everyone's buying now, and the rub of the story could be minivans are better
Than
but
SUVs,
then,
yeah.
right, but the producer, Mr. Willman, would be trying to convince us that no, SUVs are clearly better.
Yeah, what is the best-selling SUV right now? Because we could just use...
Well, technically it's
Escape.
the Equinox.
Okay, so we'd get an Equinox.
Right.
Except we can't because Chevy won't give us one.
Yeah, and it'd have to be a 3-row SUV because I think it's the
Oh,
3-row
right.
SUVs that are now replacing things like the Highlander.
So probably like a Highlander.
Yeah,
Although
Highlander,
the
something like
Topher
that.
has a Highlander we could use.
Right, and so we would have to try to prove that our minivans are better at having and family
Then a 3-row SUV.
Yep, that would be the challenge.
Why don't we should do that.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think it's you're talking it up really well.
Yeah.
And then there will clearly be an overlanding section since that's what all families do.
Oh, right. We can modify
Yes.
and modify them for camping.
Mm-hmm. I have at my house spring expanders that you just like jack up your car and then like slide this like block into the spring and then lower it back down and it raises the car. You've never seen those?
No.
Okay,
So it just makes the ride terrible, probably.
right. It just increases your ride height and makes your ride.
So you would use that for overlanding. Did they ever do an all-wheel drive minivan in the 90s or early 2000s? Were they all front-wheel drive?
Chrysler made the all-wheel drive Town and Country and Caravan up till 2000. 2004 is the last model year.
Oh.
When they introduced Stow and Go, they removed the all-wheel drive as
Okay.
the drive shaft.
Could you also count a Chevy Astro van, or would that not? Would that be more of a full-sized van?
I think you could get away with calling
Could
that
you get away
a
with
minivan.
calling that a minivan?
If you allow that, you have to allow the Mazda MPV.
Right. You could probably have a Mazda 5. Like a really shitty Mazda 5, I bet you could get.
Yeah, that's borderline. The other question then is the Mercedes R-Class included?
No, because that doesn't have sliding doors. I think it would have to have sliding
It
doors.
has to have sliding doors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, neither of us would buy an R-Class, so you don't even need to question that.
Right, that's fair. So sliding doors is the argument that they're the better, which they are clearly. If you're trying to get a car seat in, having the sliding door in the shopping center much easier than having a normal fold-out door.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think we'll have to make this challenge happen.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Would it just be us two?
No, we'd have to get somebody else. Has to be a third, and hopefully the Topher would be involved or something. He could bring his baby.
He would like that, actually. I think
Yeah.
he would like a minivan challenge. Well, we could get him a what's like a Topher minivan? Probably a Previa.
The Odyssey, honestly, would
Or an
probably
Odyssey.
be
Odyssey would
most
be
Topher.
most Topher.
Although he owns a lot of Toyota now, so maybe
yeah,
he
we
would
could put
want
him in a
Sienna.
Previa. I could be in an Odyssey,
Mhm.
and then you could have whatever sort of
FCA,
thing.
Stellantis,
Yeah.
Chrysler. Well, really, I'm just buying a Mercedes because back then they were all.
They were Daimler
Daimler
Chrysler.
Chrysler.
That's right.
Yep.
Daimler Benz.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. So
Peggy is a Benz.
Peggy is, yes, my Town and Country and your 420 SEL are pretty much siblings.
Basically the same car.
Basically the same car. They're both large. They're both broken in ways,
Same color.
and we both love them.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so really we need to do a Peggy versus 420 SEL challenge. Which you got some new doors for your car.
I did. If you're wondering why I've been rubbing my shoulders, because they're sore from carrying doors. If you don't know, I own an old Mercedes that was in a drive-by shooting.
Inflicted by bullets.
Yeah,
Yes.
and all of its windows got blown out. And I thought instead of going in and replacing just glass, might as well just replace the whole door, because all the doors have bullet holes in them anyways. So I'm just like, well, if I do replace the glass, I still have doors with bullet holes in them. So I went to the junkyard yesterday because they set out a 86 420 SEL, same as my car. And 3 of the 4 doors were worth grabbing. So I took 3. I'm still in search of a driver's rear door for a long wheelbase W126. If anyone,
Sure.
one of the 4 people listening has one of those, hit me up. I will pay up to like $150 for it, I think.
Wow.
Just to like kind of get the last one out of the way. Those were only $55 a piece.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. Had to go into the heart of Detroit and the ghetto to get them, but you went.
Yeah, it was fine. I took my dad's truck out there, and which is it's a Ford, so it didn't get stolen out of the parking lot.
Sure, it wasn't a Ram.
Yeah. If it was a Ram, it would have been a Ram. It would no longer be a Ram. It would have been a Ram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Is there any difference between, like, were there non-SEL versions
Yeah.
of your car?
Short wheelbase.
Okay,
Mine's
so
a long wheelbase.
What would it be called? SE?
SE.
420 SE? But
There was no 420 SE. 420. So it's kind of like BMW, where back in the day, all of the V12 cars were long wheelbase.
Ah, I see.
With Mercedes, at least in America, and with the facelifted cars, all of the V8s were long wheelbase.
Okay.
The only short wheelbase cars you could get were the diesels and the 6-cylinder petrol.
Those would have been like 360s or something like that?
280 and 380.
380.
There was just so many different ones. It's so hard to keep track, because there was also like that generation of S-Class went from like the early 80s to the mid 90s.
So what was
So
the
it was
purpose
like-
of the E in the name?
I don't know.
So was that called an S-Class?
Yeah, S. The S is S-Class, and then the E is whatever the E is, and then the L is long wheelbase.
Okay. All right.
But you could also have, oh, you know what? The E means petrol. Means it's a gas car.
Would it be an SDL then?
Because it was an SDL if it was a diesel.
Although it wouldn't have been long wheelbase. So it would have just been...
No, they did do an SDL. They did do a long wheelbase diesel. S-Class.
Okay, but I thought you just said the diesels were real short. Or is it
No,
only,
no, no.
You just only get short wheelbase in diesel?
Yes, you could also have long wheelbase 6-cylinder cars,
Okay.
but you couldn't have short wheelbase V8 cars.
So so it was the S-Class, and then the next letter was the engine, the fuel type, and then the next letter, if there was one, was wheelbase.
Right.
So did that also apply to the E-Class? Was it like a 380?
No, there was no long wheelbase.
EEL or EE?
EEL?
It's just the E.
No.
Did they make the E-Class back then? Yeah, they would have had to, right? Or did the E-Class start?
It
in
was
the
just
early 90s?
E. It was just like
E.
it was just like 280E.
280E.
Or
Okay.
300E.
Okay.
190E. But they were all just E's back then because the 190E and the 300E were different size cars. But those went off of the numbers. So the 190E was the smallest car, the 300E was the mid-sized car, and then the 300 SEL was the big car.
Boy, that was just a whole clusterfuck.
How did anyone keep track of that? I'm sure I just said some wrong things. I don't think there was a 300 SEL. I think it was a 380 SEL.
Right. And then not to be confused with the SL model, which
Yes,
did not
there were
imply that it
also
was an
SLs.
S-Class with no engine and a long wheelbase.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those you could have an inline 6 or a V8 in those as well. Inline 6 was mostly only Europe, but I think we got a couple in over here too. But you will see actually from that generation of Mercedes, you will see a lot of gray market imports because that was a big thing in the 70s and 80s because it was more cost effective to buy your Mercedes in Germany and then ship it here. It was like 10 grand cheaper.
Wow.
And that's why we now have the 25-year import rule because of Mercedes, because they, well, not fully because of them, but they were a big reason because all of the US dealers were like, hey, like our sales are down because all of your customers are going over to Germany or, you know, just calling over to Germany and being like, hey, this is what I want. And they would just import it, which is why you see a lot of cars over here with Euro headlights, Euro bumpers, cloth seats. You'll see cars that have inline 6s that we never got here. And those cars are now worth quite a bit more because, you know, it was only a short amount of time you could do that. And like Euro headlights, if you know, want to buy Euro headlights for your car, they're very expensive. Euro bumpers, very expensive. So whenever you see a car like that pop in the junkyard, go and strip all the Euro specific stuff off, you know, because it's very rare.
Ah.
Yeah.
This has probably been the most boring episode of Daily Motor
100%.
Podcast.
Because how long have we been rolling? We haven't even talked about what cars we're driving.
We spent 20 minutes, and the first 10 was on a town and country, and the second 10 has been on
Mercedes. 80s Mercedes.
80s Mercedes. Yeah, so
Which
tell
is
us
a
about
song. 80s Mercedes?
Is it really?
Yeah, by Maren Morris. It's called 80s Mercedes, and she sings about how she was born in the 90s, but she drives an 80s Mercedes. And she's singing about an SL.
Okay. Well, so your two music assignments this week, 24 by, was it Money Man?
Yeah, and 80s Mercedes by Maren Morris.
Okay. Do your homework, kids.
Yeah, listen to both of those.
Tell us about the shirt you're wearing, Chris.
Okay, so do you want the whole story, the long
Let's hear
version? So I was in Texas last week to drive the new 2023 Toyota Sequoia, which I can touch on that a little bit later if you want.
Yep.
And we're at the Toyota headquarters in Plano, and there's this place in Texas called Buc-ee's, and I had no idea what it was, but it's so iconic that Toyota literally had a Buc-ee's slide in their presentation when they were revealing the new RX.
Ah, so they could like get laughs and chortles. And...
Yes, they were like, we hope that we're able to entertain you as much as Buc-ee's does. So, anyways, this place called Buc-ee's. If you're unfamiliar,
which I am,
which you are, picture, you know what a Wawa is? Picture that and then multiply it by 10.
Wow.
So there are like 120 gas pumps, all lengthwise, 120 gas pumps. So it's like the longest thing ever. It's like a world record for gas
you're
pumps.
Parked way out. I mean, in theory, I guess you fill up and then you pull in. You don't park at the pump like you do in the Midwest.
You literally couldn't there. No, you couldn't. So there's 120 gas pumps, and then in front of the gas pumps is the biggest gas station store I've ever seen. Okay. You look at it from the outside and it looks like a freaking Bass Pro Shops. Like it's massive. Wow. And then you walk in and I didn't know what to expect because I didn't know what this place was. And it's like, how do you put it? It's like a Wawa meets a Walmart meets a tourist shop.
Okay.
So you have like all of this Buc-ee's, like Buc-ee, it's like a little rodent thing.
Yeah, it's or like a beaver.
A beaver.
Almost,
Yeah,
or,
I think it's a beaver. So you walk in, there's all this Buc-ee's merch. There's t-shirts, there's little stuffed Buc-ee's, there's Buc-ee's tents, there's magnets, there's hats. Literally any sort of thing you could think of that you can put Buc-ee's branding on, they have it. And that's half the store. You walk to the other side of the store, there's a counter where they make brisket.
Very Texas.
Brisket and all sorts of other meats. They have a whole dessert counter where they roast nuts like you get at a ball game. There's hot dogs. There's a huge cooler with every drink you could ever imagine. There's all sorts of chips and normal gas station food.
To go to one of these.
Oh, it is. And I went by myself and I was very overwhelmed. I should have taken somebody with me.
Okay.
But I just went on my way back from the track my last day.
Are there multiple Buc-ee's then around the area? Oh, does your shirt tell? Wow. So are those are the dates in which they all open?
Yes. Started in the 80s.
So I see a lot of Texas, mostly Texas, but just recently we got an Alabama, a Georgia, another Alabama, 2 Floridas, that's fitting, and a Georgia.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You know, perhaps this is a bit too not Texas of me to bring up, but I picture that being an ideal place for electric vehicle charging. Seriously,
I think you'd be hung from the gas pumps.
But you could pull up, and literally people have to go inside for, like, they don't have to, but are much more encouraged to go inside while they're charging their electric vehicle because they have to be there for 20 or 30 minutes. Right.
So
it would really be ideal.
It would be perfect
to pull up, and then you have that, you get your brisket and everything, go back out to your... Well, it is the headquarter of Tesla now. It's Texas.
I know, yeah. No, I'm sure they'll integrate that eventually. Right. Also, to the left of everything, car wash. Massive.
That's nice.
Huge car wash. Like...
Self-car wash, I assume. Or is it like you spray yourself?
Both.
Oh, both. That makes sense.
Yep, and vacuums, like 50 of them.
So someone just had an idea once, I guess in 1982,
yeah,
to say, you know how there are gas stations? Let's do that,
Times
but
10.
like on cocaine.
Yes.
Steroid gas stations.
Yes, and this place is so iconic in Texas, okay? We know that Toyota's headquarters are down there. The CEO of Toyota,
Akio
Toyota, approached the CEO of Buc-ee's and said, "This is so great. It's a great concept. Let's bring it to Japan."
Yeah, because that'll go well in Japan.
And he said no. The Buc-ee's CEO was like, "Nah."
I mean, honestly, that's probably smart. He probably knows his like demographic very well.
Also, we were talking about this, us journalists amongst ourselves at dinner one night, and we were like, if they brought that to Japan, it would have to go up. So you could have
an entire skyscraper that's
a
just
skyscraper of Buc-ee's, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the other journalists, very funny gentleman, he's like, they could also make a brisket gun, and they could shoot brisket up into the skyscraper of Buc-ee's of people getting gas. So then you could have your brisket shot up to you while you're getting your gas, or sushi or whatever is they have.
Little brisket rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Be sushi, but with
some brisket.
Instead of salmon,
it's brisket.
It's a roll of brisket. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's I'm
just very.
Sounds like it's very worth the trip just because of that.
Very exotic experience.
I'm glad you got a shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, I went for the most hideous one I could find in there.
Right. Well, I mean, it looks like you have an '80s rock band T-shirt. I know that's how they tried to do it.
It's honestly kind of a cool shirt, but I wanted like the loudest shirt in there.
What I'm looking forward to is knowing and finding out what sort of people, presumably gentlemen, you encounter throughout your day-to-day endeavors.
In Buc-ee's?
Well, who recognize your Buc-ee shirt and they're like, hell yeah, Buc-ee's!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. You'll know...
I'm going to wait for that to happen.
It'll be every black Ram driver, and you'll know who to avoid before they even climb into their black lifted Ram.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's a fair...
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit disappointed, though, because when I was in the airport in Dallas leaving, there was a girl wearing the same shirt.
And you could have been like, yeah, if you were wearing it, you could have been like,
I know, I wasn't wearing it. You can't just
go up to her as not wearing it.
I know.
You're a creep.
Yeah. But I think it's very much a thing to like go to Buc-ee's when you're in Texas. I just didn't know.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
And some people are going to read that as bussies also.
Yeah, you can hardly read it without being told how it says.
Yeah, Emily thought it was bussies. I was like, no.
I'm all about that bussy.
So yeah,
Tell us about the actual reason you were in.
Yes. So
Toyota headquarters.
So Toyota, this is their second year of putting on this big event. They call it the HQ Confidential event.
Okay. How many nights were you there? 4?
Oh my, yeah, I was there for so
That's a long time.
I'm like so behind. I'm over 40 videos that I need to edit at this point.
Makes sense.
Which is like makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, I think I counted. I have 3 videos I think to edit before the wedding, and you have like
40. Not technically, I don't have to do before the wedding, but I have 40.
I think you're like at least 10.
Because I've got like 20 something for Winding Road. I've got I think like 15 for Daily Motor, and I've got like 5 for the Topher.
Wow.
So I was down there for this event, and the main car that we were going down there to drive was the 2023 Sequoia, which
let's start with that.
Basically, I mean, driving impressions are embargoed.
Oh shoot! I was gonna ask if any of this stuff is embargoed.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so you can't talk about how it drives. Can you talk about how it looks?
Yeah, I mean it shares quite a few things with the Tundra. Same frame, same hood, same fenders, same headlights, same like interior. I don't know if the dash is identical, but if not, it's very similar. Steering wheel, infotainment, all of that stuff is Tundra. And you don't realize that a lot of the other manufacturers don't really do that anymore. Like the Wagoneer, how much of that is shared with the Ram? Hardly anything. Like basically nothing. The Expedition, even now, really nothing.
Similar to
maybe like the steering wheel and the infotainment screen, but like that's really it. And think about like the Escalade, the Tahoe.
Yes, yeah, because the hot.
So
Tahoe
for
looks
me,
quite different
it
from
was.
Silverado.
I don't think it looked bad, but I kind of wished they would have done a little more unique for the Sequoia. Solid rear axle. Also, it did not have independent rear suspension,
Yeah,
so a little bit of a different experience off roading.
Yep.
Your differential is still always like the lowest point. So that was another thing. That's not a driving impression, is it?
Oh, it's objective fact.
Yeah. What else? I think it looks awesome, especially in the TRD Pro trim. Very good looking SUV. I don't know. There should be plenty of pictures on the internet.
Yeah.
Because they had Sequoias at your Tundra event, didn't they? You just couldn't drive them. They didn't?
It hadn't been released yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Some people have already put out just like walk-arounds, like Joe Rady and all those people always do.
Was Vehicle Virgins there to film it?
No. So hopefully, the embargo shouldn't be broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is it.
Okay.
Fly from there. No.
I hate. Yeah. Okay. So honestly, there you go. So that's the TRD Pro on the left there, the white one. It's an attractive. Oh, okay. So another thing, this is not a driving impression. The cargo space is very interesting because all of these Sequoias are Pro Hybrid iMax, whatever they're called. They're all hybrids. Every single one of them. All of them have the same powertrain, no matter what trim you get. So they have to put this hybrid battery somewhere in this Sequoia, and it happens to be right under the third row floor.
Oh.
So the third row seats, while they aren't super bad legroom wise from second row to third row, your legs sit pretty high because the hybrid battery is right there. And then also in return, your cargo floor sits pretty high. So what they did to kind of remedy that is they gave you a shelf that like kind of snaps in at 3 different levels. So you can stack stuff in the back if you have the third row up. So it kind of worked out well.
Okay.
But I don't know. It was pretty much what I was expecting. I wasn't really blown away by any aspect of it, but I wasn't really expecting to be blown away. It's just a big, full-size SUV that's based off the Tundra. It's not a bad vehicle, but it didn't wow me in any way.
And maybe the driving impressions will have wowed you when you tell us.
Maybe
Can you tell us next week?
Yeah, I can tell you guys. Yeah, I'll tell you next week.
Okay. Yeah. When does the embargo drop?
Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
this is the version that when your Toyota 4Runner bro accidentally gets the girl at the bar pregnant with twins.
There you go.
Then this is what he has to
spec.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get after that. Also, did they mention if it comes with the 3-race family built in? Or does that come
They have
separately?
to do that for marketing purposes.
Okay, just making sure. Well, cool. Yeah, the Sequoia
again, not a bad car in any way.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
It's never been like a wow, that's amazing.
No, I mean,
car,
and it
sure
continues that. It continues just being just okay, and that's all right. I mean, it's kind of it's great for their market.
Yeah.
So
Did you drive any cars down there that were more than just okay?
I did, yes. So I drove one that was quite exciting, the Mirai.
Yeah, tell
I
us
drove
about
the
that.
hydrogen.
Just in case anyone is still listening to the podcast, now the hydrogen car will successfully get them to click off as well.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So the last remaining person has now just clicked off. So I'm just talking to nobody now.
Yep. But you're talking to me. So
I'm talking to you, right? Okay. So I drove, it was a 2021 Mirai, but it's the same. 2022 is the exact
Garbage.
same.
No one cares. Old news.
Yeah, right. So I think it looks very good.
Sure.
It's very, very attractive.
They made it
car.
much better looking than the previous gen Mirai.
And I talked to like the head of marketing for the Mirai.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, I mean, this was our main goal because the previous Mirai looked so funky and weird and futuristic that nobody liked it. Nobody bought it because it was so strange looking.
Mm-hmm.
So this new version of the Mirai just looks like a normal car, but it's a very attractive looking normal car.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks great. I think it looks like if
looks like a Stinger.
I know, it's such a cool design.
Mm-hmm.
But don't let its sporty looks fool you. It's certainly not sporty to drive.
Or
but
it's
that's not the point.
$50,000 starting MSRP.
Yeah, the one I drove was a limited, so it was like 70. Yeah.
Oh wait, this is confused. Oh yeah, 50. Geez, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I drove that blue.
Right.
It was a blue limited, just like that.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't understand how this works. The engineer tried to explain it to me, but I did not begin to understand. So you fill it up with hydrogen.
Yep.
Through it in which then sits in two pressurized tanks that are under the car, which can only be pierced by military grade artillery.
Okay.
For some reason, they wanted to tell me that. The hydrogen goes in through it into the tank, and then the hydrogen goes to the front into the fuel cell, mixes with air, creates a chemical reaction, which then powers the electric motors to drive the rear wheels. So it drives like an EV,
yes,
but you don't have to charge it. You
Right.
put hydrogen in.
The hydrogen charges it essentially.
But how
From
did
what I understand, there's also a small battery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there is. It's in between the rear seat and the trunk, which means you have no room in the rear seat or the trunk.
So think of it almost as though it's a generator, but it's a generator that's powerful and fast enough to charge up that battery upon demand.
But how does it run on water?
Well, it doesn't run on water, it runs on hydrogen. It produces water.
Produces
mixing with
water.
the oxygen.
Right.
So there's a chemical reaction happening there, just like when you run a
So you
gasoline
put hydrogen in.
Yes.
It makes water, which then powers electric
Water's a
motors.
byproduct. So yeah, I mean, kind of. Think of the water as the CO2 that comes out of our gas cars.
Okay.
So like in a gasoline car, you put gasoline in, it mixes with air, chemical reactions happen, which a byproduct of that is power, energy, and the other byproduct is waste. In this, it is also byproduct being energy and waste, but the waste just happens to be water.
Right. There is
energy
actually
goes into the battery.
Right. There is actually a button that says H2O purge.
Yeah.
And you click it and it dumps all the water out. It's actually kind of cool.
That is really cool. You probably have to do that periodically.
Yeah. I mean, I did it a couple times while driving just because I thought it was fun.
Wanted to pee on the road.
I just wanted to pee on the road behind me.
They really ought to build that into another system where you can pee into the car, like just pee into it.
You can in diesels, right? Can't you just piss into the urea tank?
Well, I meant more like you can just pee into your blow off, waste tank and then just dump it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it didn't. It was a strange driving experience because it made like an interesting sound. You kind of had like this. You could almost hear like the hydrogen kind of going like kind of sort of thing. But you also had like just some EV noises like woo 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 type thing. And it wasn't very fast.
Right.
It was fairly slow
because it can only go fast enough to where there's enough like juice going back into the battery.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing with a hydrogen fuel cell like this is it doesn't create as much energy as quickly as a gasoline car.
Who is servicing this car? They literally would have to have a Mirai specific team of people.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's only
they must
sold
just
in
have them in
California.
California. Yeah, because that's the only place you can get hydrogen.
Yeah.
The nice gentleman there told me they are considering sending one up to Michigan.
That'd be fun.
And I said, "Can we have it?" And he said, "Yeah, but
you're not gonna.
I don't know how you'd be able to fill it up." And I was like, "Fair. What if we only drive it 100 miles?" And he was like, "Well, that could work."
Hyundai sent a Nexo out to Car and Driver when I worked there, and they kept a hydrogen truck at that Hatchie here in
Yeah.
Ypsilanti. The problem with that is that the hydrogen has to go in very pressurized into these tanks.
Yeah, it's like a very serious looking nozzle.
Right.
Yeah.
And the mobile hydrogen filling unit was not capable of providing the adequate pressure to fill it all the way.
So they didn't test that before?
Well, they knew this, but it was either this or nothing. So they could essentially only fill the car up to like 60, 70% from the mobile unit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's still something, but
Yeah.
like we couldn't drive it super far at Car and Driver either because it would simply be out of hydrogen and then have to go back to Hyundai to get filled up again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this thing's got a range of like, so the limited is like 280.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's the top trim? Limited, right? Whatever the base trim is like
XLE
over
probably.
300 miles of range, like 308 or something.
Sure. Right, which I mean, if it's fine because if you have a hydrogen station, you fill it right back up like gasoline. And continue
they
on
said
your
it
way.
takes 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think in that way, it's actually very cool because you can save the polar bears and you don't have to sit around for 45 minutes.
Right. The only downside is, again, they're slow. So I don't know if
it
it's
wasn't
possible.
that slow. I mean, it was usable.
But in terms of like compared to EVs,
oh right,
EVs are awesome because
this
ton of power.
felt like what's a good EV to compare that to, like speed wise?
Probably like the Kona. No, even the Kona.
No, the Kona was way faster than this
The Leaf?
thing. No, I think it was slower than the Leaf. The
XC60 Recharge went on EV only.
No, it was faster than that. There was an EV we had recently that felt about similar to that.
The EV6.
No, the EV6 was faster, I think. I don't know, but it wasn't like unusably slow. It was still plenty. It was plenty. I think it was like 220 horsepower or something.
There's definitely advantages to hybrid cars or hydrogen cars, and I think if they could just figure out a better way to synthesize the hydrogen, then we could definitely start having more hydrogen cars.
Yeah.
I think they serve a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and BMW would make one with like 800 horsepower, and
I think they already have.
oh, have they?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's see. I think Mercedes has also built a very powerful hydrogen car, so maybe I need to eat my words about hydrogen cars being slow. BMW, pretty sure it's an X5 or something.
Oh, that's recent, huh?
The iX5 hydrogen.
Oh God.
This was in 2022. Yeah, just earlier this year.
Oh, of course it has an M badge on the grill. Why wouldn't it?
Testing under extreme conditions.
badge, actually.
This is about it being cold. That's good, I guess.
Good looking. I love that. X5.
I love the
It looks
X5
great.
so much. Yeah. Specs. Sheer emission-free driving is pleasure. All that remains is steam. 2020.
Wouldn't this
So they've had
technically
car
be
for a
way
while.
better for the environment than an EV?
I think so, yeah.
Because you still charge your EV by burning oil, don't
Right.
you?
Yeah, well, depending on where you live. Yeah,
Most places.
yes.
Take the used oil from your ICE car, light it on fire to charge your EV.
Sure.
Okay. So it does all of its pollution in your internal combustion car, and then it continues its pollution to charge your EV.
Yeah, well, and also all the environmental damage to harvest the rare earth metals.
Oh, right.
To build the batteries, and then what do you do with them afterward and everything. Yes, but none of this is actually about the environment. It's all about cost. And right now, hydrogen costs the most, so no one gives a shit.
Well, so do EVs. Manufacturers don't profit off EVs.
Right, but they
Except
know,
Tesla, like literally just last year.
I mean cost for the individual. All comes down to the end consumer cost.
Oh,
and
right.
where
It's
they wanna
it's
put their
because
money.
the corporations put environmental shit onto us.
Well, right. They
'Cause
make they make it seem like it's the environment that we're doing this for and everything. No, but it's just
not.
like it's
not.
you and I know that there are very nice things about driving electric vehicles. They're smooth, they're quiet.
Oh,
and
right.
Now it's starting to get to the point where filling it up, quote unquote, with electricity is a good amount cheaper than with gasoline. So a lot of people would rather have an EV for that
Sure.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But a lot of
can
people,
say it's about
people think they're saving the
environment or whatever.
planet, though.
Right, but they're idiots,
Yeah.
unfortunately. This hydrogen car would actually be better for
Yeah,
the
you
environment.
still have the
but
harvesting
it's
rare
very
metals though for the battery,
but much smaller batteries.
but less.
Yeah,
yeah.
You could probably. I imagine the battery's not much larger than like 5 or 10 kilowatt hours compared to.
It's not very big.
Over 100 in the BMW iX sort of thing,
Right.
or 200 kilowatt hours in the Hummer.
Appropriate for that vehicle though. Yeah. It's like leave it
It
to
has to
Hummer
kill the rainforest somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Hummers have to do that.
Yeah.
They should just use Hummers to smash the trees down. Why spend all the money on those big excavators? Just take a Hummer EV and just crash through it.
Yep, and then go just wreck. Yep, it's a full circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sticking with the Mirai though, I did want to touch on the back seat is remarkably small. Like my legs almost touch the front seat, and the trunk very small because you've got your battery in between the rear seat and the trunk.
For those of you millions of listeners considering a Toyota Mirai, if you need to use your back seats or trunk often,
Or if you don't live in California.
perhaps don't consider one.
Yes, but if you do live in California, you don't need to use your back seat or your trunk, and you have $70,000 to spend on a sedan, then it's great.
Okay.
I would buy it if I was like single, very rich, and lived in California. I would totally buy one.
And already owned an LC500.
Already owned an LC500, a GT3 RS.
And you were just feeling like you
like
should
saving
do something for the
polar
environment.
bears, then I would do it because I think it's a very attractive car. Could you imagine putting like some wheels on that and like lowering it a little bit? It would look sick.
Racy.
Yeah.
Neat. What else did you drive out there?
I also drove an LC500 convertible, which I don't need to
Great
talk
car.
about because we all know about it.
We'll
I
talk
drove
about it more
a
soon.
Corolla hybrid because
car.
I wrote in the group chat that we have with Charlie and Chris from the Topher. And I was like, what is the best Toyota I could drive for the Winding Road channel? And Charlie goes, Corolla as base model as you can get. So I walk up to the guy who's like, this event.
It's like, would you like to drive an LC or a
No,
4Runner or a
literally,
Tundra? And
literally.
you're like,
Yeah. So this event was literally like mama. Like, so one day.
it's like going to a Toyota dealership and driving anything.
Yeah. But they had every Toyota. Like they obviously like Mirai, BZ4X, everything you could think of they had. So I go up to this guy and he's like, all right, boss, what you driving next? And I'm like, can you get me the most base model Corolla that you have? And he just looked at me for a sec. He was like, okay. And then he like radios because none of them were sitting out. They had to go to their like storage lot to get them. So he radios. He's like, yeah, can you send me up like a Corolla with hubcaps? And so sure enough, it was a hybrid. So it wasn't super base model, but yeah, it had hubcaps and just very little options.
It's neat. I didn't realize there was a hybrid you drove. That car is interesting because it's better than the Prius in every single way.
It was a great car.
Yeah.
I liked the way it handled. It had kind of crappy tires for cornering, but it's a hybrid. So
Yeah, it's just as efficient
it
as
looks
the Prius.
good. It's a good looking
looks a lot
car.
better than the Prius.
Yeah.
It isn't a Prius. And so there's no downside. It's a great car. The Topher's been trying to get a Corolla hybrid since I started working with them.
Oh, really?
Years ago.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You'll have some Winding Road content. I should have filmed. I was so overwhelmed with just everything going on. A lot of the cars I only filmed for Winding Road just because like it's tough for me to go out there, drive 10 different cars and have like an actual worthwhile review. Like it's like impossible. I mean, I can go out and give a first impressions drive, but it would just be like, oh,
this is a car.
This is a car.
Yeah.
So a lot of just Winding Road stuff. And then Sequoia I shot for Winding Road and the Topher, and that was it.
Nice.
So
you saw a retro 4Runner. That was a thing.
yeah. So well, that was a fake one. Because so Toyota came out with this new 40th anniversary 4Runner, which you can pull up a photo. And all it really is, it's got gold wheels, it's got the orange and yellow stripe that Toyota had in the 80s, and it has like a 40th anniversary badge. They're all numbered. They're making 4,040 of them. That was a white one that I saw. It's probably that exact truck right there. I'm sure it is.
Looks better in black.
It does. Yeah, they had a white one there. I was shocked because I think it definitely looks better in black. Yeah, I'm sure that was the exact one that I saw, that white one pictured there. But that at one time was a blue 2020 4Runner TRD Pro.
Oh, so they just painted it.
They painted it white and put all this stuff on it, But I mean, it's just like to show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they handed me the keys to go like walk around it and stuff, and I'm reading the key tag and it goes 2020 Toyota 4Runner blue, and I'm like, oh, did they give me the wrong key? And sure enough, it unlocks it. I open the door, look at the VIN, built in September of 2019, and I was like, oh, all right, it is indeed a blue 2020 4Runner. But
I didn't think you were allowed to drive that. That's cool.
I didn't drive it.
Oh, you did?
No, I just they were all the display
it.
cars were locked, so if you wanted to go film something, they would like give you the keys and you could go. So I filmed like a little static video.
Yeah.
So if you follow the Topher on Instagram, you'll see that shortly. But yeah, super cool. So, oh my God, I could spend an hour talking about this event.
Well, let's end on the track ride along that you got to do.
Yep. So I rode around Eagles Canyon Raceway in Texas in the 2023 GR Corolla Morizo edition, which is the Morizo edition is no back seat, which is so cool. It's a 4-door car. It's got no back seats. It's just cool. Alcantara.
Can you use the back seats at least to like put things?
Yeah, there's just like a shelf back there. Like there's just an open space. So you could store. In ways, it's even more practical. Sure. You've got more room.
Certainly.
So Morizo,
Can you fold? Is there any access to the trunk? Could you have a huge, like almost like?
It's a hatchback. Yeah, it's just open space back there.
Okay, so it's literally like from the.
I'm pretty sure it is. There might be a wall. I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
Okay, you keep talking.
You could look it up. So the Morizo, no back seat, Alcantara steering wheel with red 12 o'clock. It's got forged wheels that are like lighter than the normal wheels. It has. I could be wrong on this, but it has like a different gear ratio. So it has shorter gears, so it gets up to speed faster. Like it has a faster 0 to 60, kind of like a rally car. You know how they have super short gears?
Yes.
So it's kind of supposed to be more like that. So it's a little bit faster. I think it's got a little more torque. Yeah, go up just real quick to there you go. 295 foot-pounds of torque. So it has a little bit more torque. Yeah, there you go. Shorter differential gears, closer gear ratio, stiffened chassis. It's just a bunch more.
Pilot Sport Cup 2s. A lot of tire for
Dude, that thing is it's pretty crazy.
So was it fast on the track?
Very fast. However, excuse me, I'm pulling a U today. Yeah. I rode with a Formula Drift driver. Fortunately, I don't remember his name. Crap.
He's going to be so sad when he hears this.
I know, when he hears this, he'll be so disappointed. He was very much you could very much tell that he was a drifter.
Oh.
Because he was like trying to like get it, like kick the ass out around every corner, which it did. You could very much feel the rear bias in this car, which was awesome.
Okay.
But it was a little jerky. It was a little uncomfortable, but I think that had a lot to do with his driving, because he was just going like full send with it. He was having fun. So yeah, it was fun. It sounds very cool. It's got a little 3-cylinder turbo. It sounds like a V6, which is neat.
So it does look like you can get all the way from the trunk.
Yeah. No, it's just a big open space.
So really, it's like a BMW 3 Series. No, sorry, Z3 Coupe. It's just a clown shoe.
Yeah, except it's got doors, so you can throw shit back there. You know.
Very cool.
So very cool car. It was like this matte gray color.
And no one will be able to buy one because
they're
all already sold out.
They're making 200 of them.
Yeah.
So you can't have one, unfortunately.
Bad.
Yeah, but
I'll know one who's listening after talking about the hydrogen car.
Will, I bet Will's listening. Hey, Will, we should give him a word right now. If he's listening now, have him comment some word that he would never normally comment.
Like we should tell him the word?
Yeah, and then he can confirm that he's still listening by commenting.
Touché. You should comment beetle.
Beetle.
B-E-E-T-L-E.
Beetle. In any context you want. Sure. Or comment the word beetle. This goes for anyone, I suppose.
Right. The more beetles we get in the chat, the better.
Do some back cracking games.
Calisthenics. So on to what we actually have at DMHQ
this week. How long have we been going now, Charlie?
Long enough.
Okay.
Hungry. I've not eaten my lunch.
Oh no.
Yes.
Okay, so we should probably talk about what we drove. Well, I guess it was just you, really.
Mostly me, but you drove it for
That's true. I've driven it for like a day and a half.
Right. Yeah. The Volvo XC60 T8 Polestar engineered recharge extended range.
They're taking inspiration from Lamborghini.
Yes.
Or BMW.
BMW.
Yeah.
Long name, but excellent car. For 2022, the extended range version of the T8 cars have a larger battery, a more powerful electric motor, meaning more power and more range. Both good things. You can essentially drive this car as a full electric vehicle in all of your daily driving. And then when you need to go even further, switches on over to gasoline. When you want to drive spiritedly, 455 horsepower, 520 some pound-feet of torque, very fast, very strong brakes, very nice interior, S-tier sound system, great looks, top-notch interior quality. I mean, there's really nothing to be disappointed about. Small, unfortunate fact, I guess, for people who care about the CCP, made in China. So that's a bit of a downside. But
Why is it a downside?
because the Chinese Communist Party sucks.
Oh,
And they put people in re-education camps and stuff. And
that is a thing. Yeah,
right.
I was hanging out with David Patterson at the Toyota event, and he was telling me about a trip he took to China and all sorts of crazy shit that he saw. So
yeah.
No,
it's unfortunate. I like to think we are less brainwashed here in the US of A than by our media.
People just think America. I mean, America's isn't great, but could be so much worse.
Yes.
Like
here's the main difference, and without getting too political, it's the citizens who make America shitty. It's the government that makes China shitty.
Right.
So yeah. I'd probably rather hang out with like Chinese people than your average American.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You go over to those countries allegedly, and like all the people are just really great, and like, the government sucks.
Yeah, but our government, if you like them or hate them, essentially the way we've had it set up is they really can't do much.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Whether you like whoever's in charge or who isn't, chances are that it's actually not as much power as you think he or she has.
Yeah.
To make things happen. But the corporations and the people in America do. So
that's right.
Yep.
Why we're all going to be driving electric cars soon.
Well, if they're all like the XC60 T8 Polestar engineered recharge extended range, then I'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
And then we also kind of had a Civic hatchback manual here that I drove for all of 20 minutes, and you drove all of 20 minutes.
No, I drove it actually for about an hour.
Oh, you did?
Because I drove Emily she had to go do something last night, so she just came with me and stayed for like the night drive and stuff, and took her to do what she needed to do. And so I got a little bit of time in the Civic hatch, and it's kind of fun to drive. Kind of not as fun as the SI, obviously, and it's got quite a bit of rev hang, and there's not really any clutch feel, but it's still very nice to look at. I still really like the interior. The Bose sound system is good. I like the feel of the shifter.
Mm-hmm. I do like in your hand. You mean?
Yep. And the actual
you do
feel.
like the throw
I
too?
do. I like the throw.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's notchy, and it makes a nice noise.
Okay.
I was missing like a sport mode though.
I noticed that. I think it's
it has eco mode, but that's it.
Since it's a manual, I think they just assume sport mode is you just shifting faster.
Is you just being your own sport mode?
Yeah. Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I kind of like that with Teslas too. How there's no drive modes. It's just like if you want to drive faster, just
floor it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I just gonna say regarding the Civic? Oh, the rev hang. It just. I wonder if you can tune that out or something though, because it's so bad.
Does it have to do with the flywheel?
Probably partially, but I also bet you that the fuel injection is just like adding more fuel for the oil, because there's an EPA element to it. That because of inertia and some other bullshit that someone explained to me once, that if the engine doesn't have to like stop spinning so quickly, it like uses fuel more efficiently or something. I know, it sucks. Right. So given all those things, would you, if you had to buy a Civic tomorrow, buy the manual or the automatic?
Manual.
You would.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be tough for me.
I don't want a CVT. As good as that CVT is, I don't want to own a car with a CVT. There's no interest.
Yeah, you don't want to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 manual cars, an S-Class, and then a CVT. Saying the S-Class because it's like...
You forgot the ML.
Oh, you're right. Oh, so you do own a conventional automatic. So all right, 4 manuals, 2 Mercedes.
Automatics, yeah.
And a CVT. The Mercedes get an excuse for being an automatic because they're Mercedes.
Well, they can be automatic. If the normal Civic was no, I would still get the manual though. And it's different in a Civic, because a Civic you can drive spiritedly, and I would rather drive.
Can you with that rev hang?
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'd probably.
It's fine.
And the clutch throw is so light that it's almost like an on-off button.
I know. It's very easy to drive. Yeah. No, there's not really any feel, but you can guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then this week, starting tomorrow,
this will be another hour.
We'll talk more about it afterward, but we will be getting an LC500 convertible, an M4 convertible, an F-Type R convertible, and a mini JCW convertible. And it's going to be a good week.
Yes.
We're going to have Tedward here, which we're excited about. We're going to go on a big, long trip for 1,000 miles and figure out which is best convertible.
Which is best convertible, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
tune in next week to hear
which
is best convertible.
And we don't even have time for like a Copart segment or anything.
No.
I don't think I have anything saved. So
Probably only been about an hour. But
I think so.
Yeah. We did view Copart once today because of the van.
Oh, we did. Okay, so that counts.
So that's good.
Yeah, just a sold listing.
Yep. So thank you all so much for watching and listening. We'll be back next week talking less about minivans and
How do you know that?
80s Mercedes. I'm gonna make an executive decision.
Okay.
Yes. And more about convertible sports cars. And we'll see you and talk to you on the next one, where Charlie and Chris with Daily Motor and is every single time. Drive on.